Sawadee Kap viewers. Today's story comes to us from one of our subscribers, Texas Pete, joining us all the way from America. Get ready to embark on a truly insightful journey as Texas Pete takes us on his first ever trip to Isaan, the rural heart of Thailand. His story is a vivid and honest account of his one-year anniversary in Thailand, a journey that has taken him from the bustling streets of Bangkok to the quiet rice fields of Buriram. What began as a simple trip to visit his girlfriend's family quickly becomes a full immersion into a world he had only heard about. Texas. Pete recounts the warmth of a community that adopts him, the unexpected cultural clashes, and the powerful sense of family and generosity he finds among the hillbillies of Thailand. My journey began on a Monday morning at the bus station in Hua Hin. The first bus was sold out, but I was able to get on the 10:40 a.m. one. After 2 cups of coffee and 128 baht, about $3, I was on my way to Bangkok, the first leg of my journey. A quick 20-minute stop in Phetchaburi for a quick bowl of gui tiao or noodle soup. And then, 3.5 hours later, I was in the Big Mango. God, I love Bangkok. I hadn't been there in over 2 months, and it was good to be back. The traffic, the bustle, the resemblance to Western civilization, and of course the throngs of beautiful young women. It's a city of 10 million people with over 60% of the population under 30 years old. I always get off the bus before the main station with the other Thai people, because it's actually closer to take a taxi across the river downtown from there. I usually look for some unsuspecting tourist to share a taxi with, because everyone is usually heading to the same area where all the tourist hotels are. What I call Cheap Charlie. But all I saw were backpacker types heading to Khao San Road. So after 2 cigarettes, I was off. Less than 100 baht to Sukhumvit, baht to It was nice to be back on Sukhumvit, seeing all my old friends. The English travel agent who can always get me a room and who once paid for my flight out of the Golden Triangle from Chiang Rai. I, of course, paid him back later. My friends at the Hotel Manhattan, where I'm a bit of a celebrity VIP. Being seen eating in the restaurant with the owner and members of the royal family probably helps. I usually stay there unless I'm hiding out down on Soi Nana, but that's another story entirely. Knowing I'd be getting up early to head to the bus station again, I didn't go out much. I hit some of my old haunts, the beer garden for a bite to eat, one of my favorite go-go joints for just 1 beer, and I even went looking for my girlfriend on Afan Swava tea. 33. I eventually wound up spending the rest of the evening at the legendary Thermi Coffee House, made famous during the Vietnam War. I was back in my room about 3 a.m. and I was alone. I set the alarm on my mobile phone for 7 a.m. I had bought my girlfriend, Quang, a mobile phone this month, which made this trip possible, as she was already waiting for me in Buriram, her home province in Isaan. So, at 6 a.m., my mobile phone rang. It was Quang. You have to go to the bus station now. I got up, took a quick shower, headed down for the free breakfast and checked out. I took the Sky Train, like an elevated commuter train, to the end of the line, then a taxi to the northern bus terminal. I told the taxi driver I was going to Buriram, and he was genuinely surprised. He said, "Me, Allah, have wife." I replied, "Kapum, yes." I rushed in. The place is huge, it looks like an airport. I spoke to the lady in Thai, Pai Buriram. She said, "Burya Sipsi, window number 24. I bought my ticket for 224 baht and ran down to the bus. 5 minutes later, at 8:30 a.m., we pulled out of the station, and I was on my way to Isaan, I was able to get a little bit of sleep until Quang called me, wanting to know where I was. I replied on bus, Thai for bus. We made one stop in Korat for a quick snack, smoke and pee. I was the only falang in sight. A policeman came up and tapped me on the shoulder. "Painai, where you going?" I said Buriram. He said something else in Thai that was unintelligible to me, so I just said okay and walked off. 6 hours later, after driving through what looked like a vast, empty wasteland of endless fields, I arrived in Buriram. When I got off the bus, I was descended upon by a horde of motorcycle taxi drivers yelling, "Painai!" At the back of the crowd was Quang. It looked pretty much like any other ratty little Thai town I've been to, though this one seemed a little rattier. Quang grabbed me and took me across the way to a little row of noodle stands and hole-in-the-wall places. Mama, Papa, the sister, and Huey, Dewey, and Louie, the kids, whose names were quite similar in Thai, were all there to greet me. The kids looked completely awestruck, as I was probably the first falang they had ever seen. I sat down at the table and ordered a bowl of guitiao. Mama and Papa looked to be about 100 years old, although they were probably in their late 40s. After a snack, Quang asked me for 500 baht to pay for everyone's food. I stuck around and the bill was a little over 100 baht, including beer. We walked over to one of the most dilapidated pickup trucks I'd ever seen, and I got in the back with the women and children. Papa and the neighbor whose truck it was sat in the front. A quick ride around the corner, and we were at the market. The smells of a typical Thai market. Quang and Mama started buying food and veggies. I spotted a 7-Eleven on the corner. They're everywhere in Thailand. I went in and bought some instant coffee, batteries for my camera, and 6 huge bottles of water. Back at the truck, I was a complete spectacle walking through downtown Buriram. We headed out of town. It was a really long way, past miles and miles of rice fields and water buffaloes, which are quite strange-looking beasts. It was actually quite beautiful, and I was surprised to see I still had a signal on my phone. After about half an hour, we turned off the highway onto a dirt road. Damn, it was bumpy. Another 15 minutes, we came to the village, down another little dirt path, and then to the house. It was a shack with some wood planks, some tin, and a tin roof. Next to it was Quang's house that she's been building since she started working in Bangkok 4 years ago. It was essentially a 2-story post building, no walls yet, part of a second floor, and a really nice tile roof. Underneath was the little low table that all Thais have. They sit, sleep, and eat on these things. They're quite functional, like a portable deck. I immediately sat on it with my bag. The whole village turned out to see me. I was as amazed at them as they were at me. Mama was constantly chewing betel nut, which is some sort of mild narcotic. Some of the guys came over and offered me some Thai whiskey. I suggested we get some beer. I gave a teenage kid 300 baht, and he took the family motorcycle to some store I'd never seen, and came back with a case of beer chang, Thai beer with 7% alcohol, 12 big bottles. The guys and I started drinking, and the women started cooking. I started clowning with them in Thai. All of the women came over to gawk at me and say how handsome I was. Babies were running around naked. Everyone was getting really drunk. Just about dark, a pickup truck pulled up on the road, and everyone started talking and crowding around. I walked over and asked, "Penalay? What's the problem?" I was pretty drunk by this point. The lady said the man was a policeman, and the lady was there to collect a debt from a clinic in Khon Kaen. I looked at the bills she was showing me, and she was explaining it all to me in Thai. One for 500 baht and another for medicine for 300 baht. Now, I got a little aggravated because someone had obviously tipped them off that the big gringo was in town and to come shake them down for money. I started arguing with them in Thai. My Thai is actually better when I'm drunk. I told them I would only pay 500 baht and that they had used 500 baht of gas to drive here and back from Khon Kaen. I told them that a bird must have flown to Khon Kaen and told them a falang was here and that's why they were here. After some more banter, I agreed to pay the entire 800 baht and demanded a receipt that we had Gilo, paid already. They grabbed the money and hurriedly left. I yelled, "Sawadi Kap, goodbye, my penlai, never mind, and Chokdi, good luck." When they pulled off, I yelled, "Pai Lui," which means get the hell out of here. The villagers loved it. It was an incredible evening and one hell of a party. The whole village was there. One lady came by with 2 baskets on a shoulder sling, and I bought oodles of kanoms, sweets, for the kids. We drank and ate. At one point, after I got there, everyone from the village, old ladies, girls, and a few men, came and tied a string around my wrist, rubbed it and said, "Chokdi." They did the same for Kwang. It was a very gracious ceremony. I was kapkun-kapping everyone, thanking them. Later, I asked Kwang if we were married now, remembering something I had read on the internet. She smiled and said, "Chai ka, that's right. I guess so we could sleep in the same bed that night." Later, people told me it means you are married, you are being adopted into the family, and it's for good luck. I guess I'll never know for sure. Anyway, everyone wound up in the house watching a small TV. Yes, they have electricity and a refrigerator and lights too. The floor was rough poured concrete. The mattresses were on a sort of wooden platform that was like an all-purpose table on the edges, and a sofa too. Ma and Pa Kettle had their own bedroom, which I never saw, and next to us was Kwang's sister's bed. But she had a mosquito net around hers. I kind of felt sorry for her. She's not a bad-looking girl older than Kwang, and her husband works in Bangkok, coming home maybe a few times a year. She works in the family's rice fields. They cook on a kind of clay pot that you burn charcoal in. She said they had a gas propane like I have at my home, but the gas is too expensive. A big giant tank of gas, like for a barbecue, is only 200 baht. I offered to buy them a tank of gas, but they seemed content to cook on the charcoal. The next morning, I was awakened by Kwang's sister crawling over us. I could hear them cooking and the house filling up with smoke, the sides of the roof open to let it out. I heard people rustling outside. I woke up, dragged myself outside to take a piss, and found everyone sitting around a small campfire. I went out, sat on the deck, and had my morning smoke, nursing one hell of a hangover. Kwang got up and I asked her to make me some coffee. She had to go to the neighbors to get the electric hot water pot. Eventually everyone was getting ready for another day in the rice field. Well, it was harvest time now that the rainy season had ended. I watched them get on these strange contraptions, basically an engine with a PTO connected to a cart, and you steer it with what looked like plough handles. Eventually the sun came up and Kwang and I decided to go into Buriram because honestly, just about all of the 2,500 baht I came with was gone. We walked up the road to the Songteo stand, which, by the way, doubles as the school bus. All the kids were going to school. It's a big Songteo on a big truck instead of a pickup. I wound up hanging on the back platform with Kwang inside. There were these huge gunny sacks of rice that some old lady was taking to the market. All of the cute little schoolgirls in their blue ankle-length skirts and white shirts were giggling at me. About halfway into town, a lady got on with like 20 chickens, all tied by their feet together, flopping around. Try to get that mental picture. About half an hour later, we finally reached the school, and all the kids got off. So it was just me, Kwang, a few old village ladies, some really attractive young women with an infant, and of course, the chickens. We finally made it to Buriram. The only mode of transportation is samlers, those three-wheel bicycle rickshaws. The seat is a bit small for my big butt and Kwang, who, by the way, has gained weight since she's been with me. She eats regularly now. They are surprisingly fast. I went to the ATM and took out 2,700 baht in 3 increments of 900 baht to have some small money. Then, back in the rickshaw to check my email, and another trip to the market. Back on the Songtao, Kwang asked me for 100 baht to hire 10 people to cut rice at 100 baht for the day. I agreed. After all, I paid to plant it, so it must be harvested. On the Songtao, the lady who had the 10 sacks of rice was now with a big bundle of supplies. The rice is like money to them. She traded the rice for all of the stuff. An hour later, we were back to the village. Kwang promised to take me to see her rice paddies and catfish ponds. Her family has 15 rai, about 7.5 acres, although honestly it looks bigger. The people all live in the village, and the rice fields are some distance away. Everyone has their plots there because the building of the paddies and the irrigation is a group project. We got on her family motorcycle, a 100cc Suzuki that had certainly seen better days, and headed off to the rice paddies. Of course, it was on empty, so we stopped to buy 50 baht worth of gas. We turned down a rutted dirt path and headed into the rice fields. She is not as good a motorcycle driver as my first wife, let me tell you. We came to the first catfish pond. Not very big, but really teeming with fish. She told me she could get about 40 baht or $1 a kilo for them. We walked the rest of the way to the paddies, along a 1-foot wide little ridge between each paddy. I started to get paranoid because I remembered reading about these things being infested with cobras, and well, I've seen my share of them since I've been here, but no cobras today. Off in the distance, I saw the ladies bent over in the rice paddy. I started hearing 1960s songs in my head, helicopters, and having some type of Vietnam flashback. This must have been exactly what it was like in the war. We walked past Kwang's water buffaloes chewing the cud and her 3 Wa cows, some of the sorriest looking cows I have ever seen. There we reached the paddy. And there was Kwang's sister, one of the old ladies from the party the night before, and some other women, all cutting the rice with a small sickle and bundling it with a twisted rice stalk. You could see all the bundles laying in the paddies they had already cut. For as far as you could see, you saw rice paddies, a few trees scattered, and some little work sheds like Kwang's at the catfish pond in the distance. If you looked hard, you could see other groups of people in the distant paddies. I fussed at Kwang and told her to get down there and cut rice. She reluctantly agreed, but only for a short time. She would rather dig the little crabs out of the holes that live in the paddies. So that's where those little crabs that go in the som tom papaya salad come from. I got some great photos. They asked me what time it was and I said, Tiung, that's noon. So everyone came out of the paddy and we went across the fields to a tree where they had lunch. Rice, of course, sardines in a can, what they call fish can, and some vegetable stir-fry stuff. I think each person brings a little something. Kwang asked me for 100 baht and sent her sister back to take the motorcycle, which was quite far away now, to buy us some watermelon and soda. She came back about half an hour later with 2 small watermelons, a bottle of red soda, and a bottle of Thai whiskey. We ate lunch and everyone took a little short nap and then went back to work. While I was having lunch, I got a phone call from Bangkok. I had a surprisingly good signal in the rice paddies. I wound up making calls to Bangkok, Prachuap, and America, conducting business in the middle of a rice field in Isaan. The wonders of modern technology. We walked back to the motorcycle, which wouldn't start, and Kwang yelled to her uncle across in his rice field to come and help us. He walked over, fiddled with it, and it started. A short ride back to the house, and there was Mama watching the babies and kids. A bit later, Papa came back with a bucket. Good eating. Cow guts. About an hour before dark, everyone came dragging in from the rice fields. I heard some racket out back past the banana trees and went to investigate. It was a machine where the rice bundles go in the top. Out the side, it shoots the rice grains into the sacks, and a big blower blows what looks like hay into a big haystack. This was the harvest for everyone for the day. The guys were passing around the whiskey, and it had been a good day. Darkness fell. Another bowl of boiled catfish soup and rice, this time with ants. The ladies, kids, and everybody came over because our place was happening. Everyone ate. I watched 3 different women nurse the same baby. There is a real sense of community here. I had all but recovered from my hangover and decided I should buy some more beer. We had a party, smaller than the night before, and I went to sleep exhausted. The next morning, I woke up, took a shit in the squat toilet, ate a breakfast of fried pork nuggets, rice, and some stir-fried vegetables. I took a cold shower with a bucket, packed up, said goodbye, and walked up to the Songtayu stand. We had missed the Songtayu, so the postman agreed to drive us into Buriram for 300 baht. We got there, jumped on the bus with minutes to spare, and were off to Bangkok. I planned to save some money and go back and work on Kwang's house. Isaan was fantastic. What a truly fantastic and eye-opening journey Texas Pete shared with us today. His story is a powerful reminder that the real Thailand is a far cry from the tourist hotspots. From the initial bus ride into the heart of Isaan to the warm welcome he received in Buriram, Texas. Pete's tale is a testament to the generosity and community spirit of a region often misunderstood. His experience, being adopted by a village, arguing with a policeman while drunk, and navigating life in the rice fields, gives us a genuine, unfiltered look at a part of Thailand rarely seen by foreigners. It's clear that this trip was more than just a visit. It was a profound cultural exchange. What aspect of Texas Pete's journey resonated with you the most? And how did it change your perspective of rural Thailand? Have you ever had a similar experience that completely challenged your assumptions about a place or its people? Share your thoughts and stories respectfully in the comments below. If Texas Pete's incredible journey moved you, please give this video a like. And for more honest, compelling, and insightful stories about expat life and cultural immersion, make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss our next video. Thanks for watching.